Wait, if you're not familiar with the Conservation District, we have a car coming in.
Should I have them?
Sure, either way. Yeah, maybe so, because if we have a couple more. There's supposed to be 30 people tonight, 28. We're going to watch your parking skills.
No pressure.
So, if you're not familiar with the Conservation District goal to prevent man-made agricultural natural disasters from occurring again, that's basically what the Dust Bowl was. Obviously, over the years, we've expanded. We also help folks with stream and wetland management. We have a Harvest Pierce County program that helps people in the urban spaces grow food for, they're like urban agriculture type things. And then we have environmental education for youth. We have a water quality program that does a lot of low impact development, rain gardens, that sort of stuff. So, but definitely want you all to know that we are non-regulatory. So my team would love to come out and walk around your farms and give you on-the-spot recommendations. If we see something that is against county code or federal or state regulations, we'll tell you, but we will not turn you in. We're hoping to plant the seed that you will change your ways and improve your management, but I've bitten my tongue many times over the last 30 years. Don't turn people in, we just hope to change your minds. So we sometimes have financial assistance to help you make the improvements that we recommend. And like I said, I'm always learning new things from landowners, so this is definitely an evening for information exchange, and we hope to have a long relationship with you. I've known Frank 20 years. I mean, I've got some clients that I've had for 30 years, and I've been to properties that I went to one yesterday that I went to the landowner that originally made all the improvements. They sold it to someone else, and then now I've been out there with the third landowner. So it's pretty cool. So love to, help you and get you information and, help you be more productive on your farms.
Renee?
Yes.
So does this work with other counties as well? Like I know
Yeah, I don't know if you're all from Pierce, but there's pretty much a district in every county in the U.S. So we all, I think all of us still do ag, and then obviously not everybody does all of the programs we do. Obviously Eastern Washington, they're more concerned with irrigation efficiency and stuff like that. Here it's a lot of water quality, like don't want things to end up in the streams and wetlands. So
if I was interested in having, like I live in Thurston County, and if I was interested in having someone come out and assess like
they have,
land,
Thurston CD has a really good farm team. So yeah, they would definitely come out to your place.
They don't have as many like workshop.
They're a little bit different than we are. They do a lot of webinars and they have a lot of great videos on their website. So check that out.
Okay.
And and we're going to tape, obviously we're recording this, and we try to put everything on our website, because not everybody can make it on a Friday evening sort of thing. And, we can't have 100 workshops every year. So, and speaking of workshops, Frank has hosted before 2 different workshops, and we're going to run them again. He has cervine feed and boarding out in Roy, and he put in an aerated forced compost air composting system for his boarding stable a couple years ago. Makes such a wonderful product that he sells it. So we're going to have another workshop August maybe. We got to figure out the dates and all that. Definitely make sure you're on our newsletter mailing list, and then our email list. And then we're going to do one in the spring. He sells, what is your grid? GeoGrids, which are a honeycomb grid system that you put in your livestock paddocks, which basically prevent the animals from like churning in and making super deep mud. So it's a great way to make that layer to keep everything from just squishing into the ground. I wish I had a penny for every time someone said, I put gravel down and it just disappeared. Well, this prevents it from disappearing. So keep an eye out for information on that. Okay, any questions before we get going? Okay, you two missed it. Sign-in sheet, food, you can grab it now, grab it later. Bathroom, go in the door, hang a left, hang a right. Very small house, just wander around. You'll find it. Oh, yeah, this is Charlie, this is Ragnar. You're gonna be sorry you did that because he'll bug you all night. Okay, everybody want to grab anything before we go up top?
Hey, thanks for opening your house up.
Oh, sure. I reached out to a bunch of landowners and said, hey, I want to have a grazing workshop. Are you up for that? And I got crickets. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to have to do it at my house.
Are you going to make reference to the hand material as we walk, or can we put this stuff away?
Oh, yeah, put it away. Yeah, put it in your vehicle. So before you do, though, well, go do it now or as we're walking up there, because I'm going to give you a brief rundown on my farm before we head up there. Okay, so it's 10 acres. We've been here 25 years. When we bought it, there's a house, garage, woodshed, creek, and a whole bunch of barbed wire that was falling down from the previous owners. They used to have cows, and they didn't, and they just let it all fall down, and the grass grew over it. It was really fun pulling it out of there and finding it. So we are on the very corner of our 10 acres. So it's 660 this way by 660 that way. We back up to a neighbor that is all woods. And then, so we have about 3 acres of our own woods over here, which you'll see the stream. There's a stream right here, a little seasonal creek. That was the only tree on the creek when we moved in. So we planted little native seedlings from our plant sale over there. Yeah, they grow faster than you think. Like, I see those giant cottonwoods? That was a stick when I planted it. So it was 25 years ago.
You planted cottonwoods.
Yes,
Life's about choices.
that's right.
They drink a lot of water.
Right. So how our property works is I don't build a lot of permanent fencing because we had to build all of our fencing. So we built a perimeter fence with high tensile electric. We did a couple of major cross fences. So everything we did, we started with temporary fence. Let's figure out where we want to fence first. And then when we kept putting a fence in the same place over and over again, that's when we ran some more high tensile electric. And I love high tensile because it's super safe, super easy. It's built so your animals can run through it if there's an emergency and it just falls down and they don't get hurt. We had a cougar chase our horses or spook them and they ran through 3 or 4 fence lines. Nobody got hurt. They didn't leave the property, thank goodness. But so, yeah. Yep, Gallagher. So when we built it 25 years ago, it was 90 cents a foot just for the materials, so not counting my labor. But once you set those posts, the rest of it's super easy. And we had a class on it last year. I don't know if any of you went to it, but we run those every couple of years. So anyway, we have a couple of really wet fields. If you see this area over here that looks like it's ready to be hayed, it probably should be, could be, but it's super wet down there. So we haven't grazed that one yet. So what we'll do, and you all read the literature. We had horses here for 25 years, just got out of the horse thing last year. And so now we have beef cattle because we have all this grass and I don't want to just mow it. So Tom had cows as a kid, so here we go. So anyway, before we put the cows over there, I'll come ahead. I did an experiment with the cows this year. Horses, for sure, if I put them out there, they would trample all of that down. Like, they're trying to look for the tender stuff, right? If you trample down something that already has a seed head and they don't eat it, well, then you can't mow it. It's done its reproductive duty. It's just going to be done for the year. So I did an experiment over here because we didn't get the cows over here. I mean, the grass is going crazy this year. So this section right here behind the woodshed, it was tall and I let them out. I thought, well, cows aren't supposed to be as picky as horses. I'll try just Try it with long grass, same thing. They just smashed a lot of it down. So then the section up on the hill, I came ahead with our brush mower and the mower deck kind, and I cut it about 6 inches and let the tall stuff like just sit on top. That's what I would always do with my horses. And they acted like the horses then and ate all the cut material and then ate the rest down to about 3 inches, and then I moved them. So as you can see, I have no fence here, right? So I have a couple of posts in 5-gallon buckets with sand. I put some temporary posts in there and made a lane across my driveway. With the horses, I would just open the gate and they would follow me. The cows, I'm like, I don't really know about this, so I made a lane right through the backyard. They amazingly didn't poop in the gravel. It went right by the bird feeder and went right into the pasture. So at first I used to have to push them everywhere. As you'll see when I start tinkering around out there, they're like watching me and they'll go right where I send them. So you're going to see this in action because tonight is the night to move it.
They're food motivated.
Oh, very. Yeah, they're super nosy, man. So what I used to do is with the horses, I would do super intensive rotational grazing. So they would be on a section like this for 1, maybe 2 nights. So I would put them out at night and they would be in their paddocks during the day. Because I found with horses, if they're in one area longer than about 24 hours, they start screwing around, eating the trees. They don't just put their heads down and eat, which is what I wanted them to do, because I had thoroughbreds and they needed to eat, and I don't want to mow any grass. I don't want to buy any hay from Frank. Sorry, Frank. So I wanted to feed them off my pastures during the summer. So an area like this would only last 2 nights for them, but the cows are out 24/7 and I only have 3 of them as opposed to the 6 horses. So they're out in an area like this for 3 days. So it's definitely not as intensive. I'm not having to move fences all the time. And usually what I'll do is set up 1 or 2 ahead of me. So then I can easily, I'm not carrying around the post, but I'm going to give you guys a little demo of my whole setup. So I have 1, 2, 5 main fields, right? We got across the creek is what we call this side. And then we have the barn pasture, the pen pasture, the front pasture, and the far pasture. So you'll see how I do it. So of those 5, I think I counted up, I subdivide it in the early part of the spring about into 16 different pastures. So I'm moving them through quickly, and then later in the summer when the grass grows down, instead of having these 3 sections, the front, middle, and top, I will have maybe half of it, or divide it in half, and then they'll be on these areas probably not as long, as this is a new thing with the cows. Like the horses, I would for sure okay, they're in the pens, they're going out, but each area is not as small as it was because there just isn't as much grass. And then I started supplementing them in July with hay. Just because I played polo, they were working a lot. They needed a lot of calories. So.
Thoroughbreds.
Yeah, those thoroughbreds. Yeah, definitely. Okay, and then we're going to talk about weeds and all that. But before we walk over, drop your literature. And anybody have any questions before we head out? You're welcome to come with us, Tom, after you put the food up. I think the dogs will come with us. They're more people motivated than food motivated. All right, let's wander over.
You can always put the food in the back of Sean's truck.
Yes, I do.
That was good. Yeah. Makes sense.
We have another one over here in case we go the other direction.
So where are the cows?
They're you'll see them in a sec. Yeah.
The bottom one?
Yep. So the Gallagher Company, yep, that's the walkthrough. So the materials we use are from the Gallagher Company. That's one of many electric fencing companies. They have a local representative that does a lot of classes. So when we built our fence, we took one of those classes, figured out what we wanted to what we needed. And for horses and cows, three lines is enough. So the top one's 4 feet, 3 feet, 2 feet. So I don't have small animals. So the 2 foot difference is a good safety thing, in case one of your animals is dumb enough to roll next to the fence, they're not going to get their legs caught up. But the way that they are kept safe if they run through the fence, one is you don't have, turn around over here, I'll show you. You don't have posts every 8 feet, 10 feet like a traditional fence. You have a post in the ground every about 125 feet, and then between you have droppers. So this thing isn't even attached. So what happens if a horse or whatever runs through this, it's going to flip down and they're going to flip over it, or these insulators over here are just going to break off. So that's what, whenever a tree falls on it or whatever, the insulator breaks, you just put that back on there and you're back in business. So I think these are super efficient and low cost, safe. They're not safe at all if they're every 8 feet, and then they do become that cheese slicer. So
I was going to mention that because I've seen horses cut wide open.
right. I mean, mine, 6 horses ran through one, 1, 2, and then the one over here by the creek, and then back. Nobody got hurt. No cuts, nothing. Yeah. They've, what'd you say?
Coated? Isn't the coated supposed to not cut them or something? Right?
Correct.
I don't know how effective it is, because they have the electric.
Yeah, it has the electric stripe on it. Yeah, right. For
They'd just be like, oh yeah.
yeah, sheep and goats, you have to have like 6 different strands for sure. You need a lot more.
Yeah.
Do they still have the same setup though as for sheep and goats? Do you still have that interim post like this? Or?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
same system.
More
Okay.
strands, correct. Yeah.
In Australia, they put 2 pipes in the front of their trucks, and they just drive over it. They don't have gates.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
don't
got
think, yeah,
mile long
right, because I don't have long enough runs to do that. But yeah, theoretically, if you have a really long run and if you just have a bunch of droppers, yeah, you can just drive right over.
Yeah.
What about pigs?
Pigs, you gotta electrify for sure. I know,
6 wire for the sheep and goats.
well, pigs like 1 strand. There's Maricos, yeah, Maricos Acres has pigs. He's a guy in Buckley. You pay him to bring his animals onto your place to clear it and all that sort of stuff. Puts 1 super hot strand for pigs, keeps them in. Yeah.
What was his name for clearing property?
Maricos
Maricos.
Acres.
Okay, great. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So this field we divide into 3 pastures, and as we walk through here in a second, you'll be able to see. So roughly each one is lasting about a week, right? So this one, there's a little gate right past the barn. So we go straight out. So where you see those little tubs, that's 1 field. And then where we're standing is 1. And then roughly, see the tree right here with the shrubs around it? That's kind of the corner of that fence. So where you can see the buttercup right here, that's the 3rd pasture. So normally what I do is every time they move the cows, I come back with the brush hog and a drag and cut everything they don't eat and get it back down to 3 inches. And I'm gonna keep saying that, 3 inches. If you don't remember anything, 3 inches is as low as you want your animals to go, or else you're gonna damage your plants. So the field over there, we had to go out of town, and my daughter was going to take care of the cows, so there was going to be no extra work gotten out of her, like following the cows with the mower and all that sort of stuff. So the field in the back did not get mowed afterwards, but we got back and it's already grown up so much I don't want to mow it down. But yeah, the buttercup would have been normally taken care of. So on to the reason why you don't want to go below 3 inches is the plant store. I even hate to do this. I'm going to pick some of my grass. There'll be no driving on my grass. No. Don't kill the grass. Okay, so this is an orchard grass. Super productive, gets about this tall, makes a lot of food. However, the growing point, which is where these leaves start to divide away from the stem, the plant stores a lot of nutrients in here. So if your animals get into this stem over and over again, overgrazing it, then the plant is going to have to draw on those root reserves and it's going to die. So what you're left with, this is our path that gets abused a lot. The horses love to hang around even if they're in here for 12 hours, they'll overeat next to the hay room. Okay, so what you're left with is this. This is a bent grass. So its growing point is pretty darn low. So I always have people tell me, my grass just won't grow above 6 inches. Why? What's going on? Well, it's because their animals have overgrazed it. And the only thing that can survive is, the golf course type grasses, bluegrass and bent grass. And, they just don't grow higher than about 6 inches. So they're just not going to make a lot of food. So if you're wanting to feed your animals, this is what you want. If you have a bunch of animals or even a couple animals and you don't want to do any management and you don't mind buying hay from Frank, then this is what you actually do want, because like a golf course, it can handle short grazing and it's going to survive. Okay?
That's what I want you to have.
Yeah. So orchard, tall fescue, and rye are the super productive grasses. And then bent grass, bluegrass, red fescue, those are your heavy use area grasses, your lawn grasses. So easy way to ID them is, I threw away that orchard grass. I hate to pick another one. Where is it, Charles? Oh, well, okay, I'll do it another one. It's the,
Like 2 cents you're picking.
I know, God. No, it's not that. It's the planting. Oh, you found it too late. Well, you can pass that around. Okay, so orchard grass gets a really blue color when it's well fed. Super flat stem, has a pretty distinct midrib. No teeth really when you rub your fingers backwards. It's an orchard grass. Ryegrass is this super shiny one here. It's already starting to get a seed head. Has a round stem. It also has a midrib, but it's really shiny. I mean, there's one, there's one, there's one. They're really easy to see. Starts to get the little seed heads that are opposite. And then we got to have, yeah, that's an orchard grass with a head. Chicken feet.
That's the seed head.
This is the rye?
Yep, that's rye. And then tall fescue. There's one right there. It's easy to ID from the seed head. I'm being lazy. Oh, no, this is a brome. It's a weed. We'll find some in the next pasture where everything is growing way too fast. Okay, and then
Not a bad problem to have.
it's true. This time of year is crazy. So I don't worry about all the weeds, because contrary to the horses, the cows are eating chickweed, which the horses never did. They're eating buttercup. I didn't even know cows would eat that. They're eating this colt's foot. So the only ones that I'm like, I gotta take care of these are the buttercup and thistles for sure. Both and definitely tansy. I just picked one out of my driveway. It's like it never goes to seed. Where is this coming from? The seed is sitting in the ground for, now I've gone on to my neighbors and pulled hers before.
Maybe on the tread of your tires and then coming in.
Could be, yeah. It's from somebody's farm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get bull thistles. I just pulled one yesterday. You know, bull, Canadian thistle for sure. All those things, all the Canadian are all joined together by one giant root system, so you got to get them all. And I only use herbicides like every once in a while. You know, conservation districts aren't totally anti-herbicide, but please read the directions. You know, spray when it's appropriate, not when it's going to rain. Yada yada. Like the main ones I do, I'll do Canadian thistle, and every couple of years I'll do buttercup when they start to really spread. Liming helps with that for sure. The soil here gets super acidic from all the rain we get, so these really productive grasses don't like that. So improving your pH, getting it to neutral 6.5 or 7 will definitely help with your grass production. And we limed when we first moved in, and I haven't had to do it since. So, you know, if you get your pH correct and you're putting compost out there and not a lot of acidic commercial fertilizers, then you may never have to do it again on your property, which is good because it's expensive and messy and not fun to put out. Yes?
A really cheap fertilizer to get, and really a good one, is Soundgrow. Easy to spread, it's pelletized, it's human waste from the DuPont area. But I'll tell you what, you put it on, it lasts 5 years.
Yeah, definitely anything organic, your composted manures, you're going to see a benefit from one application for like 5 years because it's a slow release fertilizer. And then above that 5 years, you're going to see a benefit because it's allowing the plants to hold on to more moisture. So you're really going to, you know, increase your productivity. You know, the soil here tends to be, you know, mineral because it's ground down and from mineralization. So adding organic matter is super helpful. Okay, any questions before we wander? Yes.
A question about grasses. We've been thinking about overseeding a few of our fields, and in the little bit of Google research that I did, it seemed like there was some concern with fescue and some sort of disease.
Yeah, so yes.
Is that something you really worry about?
So what she's talking about is endophyte, which is a fungus that is intentionally put into grasses, and it increases their productivity, but it also causes problems for animals. It makes them absorb less nutrients. It can make them abort fetuses, that sort of stuff. All the new grasses, other than lawn grasses, all the new grasses, improved grasses, don't have endophytes in them. And they usually say on the bag, endophyte free. So if you want to have that heavy use area pasture where you have bent and bluegrass, don't use lawn seed. You're going to have to find like pasture seed with those varieties, or check your labels to make sure it doesn't say it has endophyte. But it'll say on there whether it does. Yeah.
Do we have false brome here?
Yes, we have so many bromes here.
False brome, I guess, is pretty bad. We were just talking about it yesterday on Area 13 in Fort Lewis.
Yeah, we do. I mean, I've got a little bit of cheatgrass that I got from, I think, a seed source. Some of my seed I put out because I'm like, it's in the areas I know I just reseeded a couple years ago. So it's another bad one because it can get in the dog's coats and work its way in.
Yeah.
So I'm always pulling that one now. Something else to do.
What does it do?
The false brome? Yeah. Be honest about it, I'm really not sure. I just know they don't want it on Fort Lewis, and it's all over Oregon.
There's some different bromes. I'm not too familiar with false.
I'm trying to remember the other name for it. It's Brazil. Brazil. It's kind of like a Brazil.
I don't know that one.
Yeah.
Well, we've got the weeds of the west over there. We'll have to look after this.
Yeah, I looked. I don't think it's in
I
there.
knew someone was going to stump me. Oh, really? Huh. I'll have to look it up.
I'll have to look again.
Okay. And as far as weeds go, like I said, I don't use a lot of herbicides. Every time I'm walking through a field, I'm looking and pulling. You know, just make a habit. You don't have to do it all in one day. Just I'm constantly looking and feeling, or you know, pulling. Okay, so ready to go on? Example of really old-timey tall fescue that you don't want. Well, I say that, let me check it. No, this must be a new one. So the really old fescue that is on really old farms, you can take your fingers and do this, and it's painful. So just think of an animal going, you know, don't put that in the video. Wrapping their tongue around, you know, they don't like it. So, and I didn't explain this earlier, but the reason I make these really small areas is because animals are competitive eaters. If you make an area small, they're like, oh my God, I got to beat my friend over here, my, you know, frenemy to this grass. I'm going to eat. So it's really a lot easier to make them eat everything and not pick and choose and stomp on it, and you know. So, and the reason you don't want it to go much beyond this stage is once these things start dropping their seeds, this is going to go dormant. So another reason other than knocking the seed heads off the buttercup is I am mowing everything down to get it to that 3 inches, because that's going to stimulate it to grow. So once it goes to seed, it's not going to stimulate itself to grow anymore. But basically by mowing it or grazing it, you're tricking it into regrowing. People are always like, well, don't you want, you know, some of it to go to seed to reseed your pastures? Well, that's like seeding all the weeds and everything maybe I don't want. You know, I'd rather bring in what I do want and use our drill to seed what I want. So the way to, when we bought this place, this whole field was nothing but bluegrass. I'm thinking maybe that's where they kept their cows in the winter. So what we did is we constantly, this is before the district had a drill, I would constantly in the fall drag it, put out the seed I wanted, and make sure and not let them get it shorter than 3 inches, because the, you know, bent grass and bluegrass, you can let it go short, but I was letting them go to the depth for the plants that I did want. So I didn't let them get it too short. So, and this is, you know, now it's just like our other fields, it's orchard, tall fescue, rye. It's not as much, it's, you know, there's some bluegrass in there, but, and I definitely don't recommend doing the whole disking up and starting over unless you absolutely have to. That takes your field out of production for, you know, at least 6 months to a year. So there are other options. If you have compacted soil, there are aerators that can slice the soil basically and break up that compaction. We are purchasing an aerator with kiwi fencing as part of a demonstration project. So once the project's over, they're keeping the equipment and they're going to offer that in their custom farming services, which is great because there's not many people that have aerators. So that is a great option. And then having tools like we have now with the no-till drill. Basically it's cutting slits in the soil, planting the seed at the depth that you want, and then the press wheels are rolling back over it, because dragging, you're just feeding the birds a lot of seed. Just definitely not getting in as much as you want.
If you had really rocky soil, would you still suggest using the no-till?
Yeah, it just glides right over them.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to plant a little seed on your rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this one has a floating option, which we're going to show you, because our soil, you know, we have little hills and valleys, and so this thing will really ride. And then our bigger drill, our bigger drill that requires, you know, a 40-horse tractor, that thing is even more accurate than this one because it's got little tubes that hang down, and it really drops the seed right where you want it.
Everything I read was more like just broadcasting because of how rocky it was, but
No. Drill's great. I mean, we got lots of rocks here, and yeah.
I used it last year on Glacier Till.
okay, yeah, I'm
worked
right
on
down
it.
the road from you. So yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so I think I'll put you guys in the paddock here that we don't use, and now it's growing all sorts of grass. It's amazing how much the horses ate it. You guys are going in the paddock, and I'm going to set up the fence and move the cows. Have horses. This is our setup. Previously, we had a little line between every little temporary fence in between every run, so we had 6 horses in here. This is their winter home all winter long. If it didn't rain for like 4 days, we would let them out here to run around, which maybe happened like 6 times a winter. So we had, I've sold most of them, but the Hay Chicks feeders, highly recommend those. They're amazing. They have a basketball style that you just throw it in there. I have one of them on the end. On that one flips up. They're great. They had hay all day long. I wish I'd had that 30 years ago, you know, but we had them the last couple of years. And this is our Taj Mahal of manure bins. So it doesn't have much in it right now because we didn't have any horses last winter or this last winter, but it's a 2-bay system because I don't want to run over my grass, so I don't turn my compost. So I put the PVC pipes in there and we fill up the big one first, then we fill up the second one. In May, we would put out the manure in the first bin, and then usually in June, we would put out the manure in the second bin. So we, while you're here, I'll show you. So basically, instead of, we never put the channels on to make a front wall, but what we did was I would have a little piece of wood, there it is, sitting right here, and I would slowly build the wall up, and then when we empty the thing, you know, we would start taking a board off, and then scoop in there and then pull them all off. So, worked great.
Compost.
Since we didn't turn it, it took, I've never like checked it to see if it was ready because I couldn't really put it out until May, but probably it was ready in like 3 months, but it really sat here. This one was October, November, December. And then that one was January, February, March, April. So it was in here in like 6 months. Yeah, and it would be like heaped up, like 5 feet tall, and then it would cook down to about here. So Frank, how fast are you making your compost with aeration?
With aerated, 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's finished. It actually, it's considered finished in 3 days with the aerated.
Wow.
Because you get up to 160, 170 degrees, and that kills all the pathogen. In a non-aerated, it's I think 18 days.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
To have good compost.
Really?
Speeds up the process.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, yeah.
But what I do too, though, is I cheat a little bit and I put it out and get worms in it. And
Well,
I cover it with a tarp.
crazily enough, the worms from the
They come in.
backside, they come in. This thing is full of worms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the aerated system, it gets too hot.
Oh, yeah, it kills them probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So
Because
once I
ours,
put
they can go out and come in and,
Once I
Right.
put it out, then
Yes.
I can add the worms.
right. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I've been up to 175.
Whoa. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
I put in a 3-bin system. Each bin's about 10 by 12. And I just rotate about every month. It takes to fill up 1 bin. And then I move it to the next, and to the next.
Yeah, that's the way it is.
yeah, that makes a
Yeah.
really nice
By-
compost.
By doing that with the tractor, it's turning it over. And by the time it's made it through the 3 months, it's really, really good compost. And I spread it for fill and gardening and give it to the neighbors and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Is there something about putting it in a higher just helps it break down.
You want at least 3 feet tall. It doesn't really compost.
That's what we're just gonna. We have compost that's like 2.5 years, and we just been dumping it. And we're like renting somebody's place, so and we don't have a place to really build a structure on their place.
Pallets.
So we have like that's true. So
That's
we have
what I
this
did
pile
first.
Totally about this high, and it literally just spreads itself back out again.
Yeah, it really has to be at least 3 feet tall. It's got to be 3 feet tall, the right components of brown to green, which basically horse manure is like 29-1 and you want it 30-1, so you don't want a lot of bedding. And then you want it about as wet as a wrung out sponge for it to actually compost. So yeah. So before we built the Taj Mahal here, I didn't want to pour any I wanted to know exactly how big I needed it, where I wanted it. It used to be on the other side of the barn. So, we'd wheelbarrow, and then it's like, duh, let's put it right here. So same thing, rebuilt it with pallets, figured out where we want it, how big. The first horse, I would just dump it over the wall, and then I would take the cart and just drag it around here. We have a couple of those grids, not Frank's, this is before you start selling your product. We've got grids in here to keep this from getting mushy. You can see one of them there. We've got grids under the sand about on the 12-foot strip at the end, because we have geotextile fabric under here, and the horses would turn and they started ripping it down here. They'd get down through the sand, so we have grids under there. You could dig forever and not find it, but this one you can see here on the end. But yeah, compost, it's a great way. It's, you're doing the right thing for water quality because all those nutrients aren't leaching into the groundwater, and you're saving them for your fertilizer source. Even if you do nothing, please cover it with a tarp. That'll help it compost, keep the nutrients in there, and protect water quality.
The funny thing about the compost I've learned lately, or not lately, but I think I've been doing it like 5 years.
Yeah, is it longer than that, right?
It gets so hot that you'll see the steam coming out, so you lose the water.
Right.
It gets that hot. Huh?
You have to add water.
You add water.
Yeah, mine, just from picking up the wet poop out here, it was wet enough, but even under the roof, I keep it covered, especially in the summertime, because, yeah, it'll totally evaporate. So even with it covered, every once in a while, in the summer, I'll put a sprinkler on it. I think I don't know if it's still out here. I would just put it on there for like 30 minutes. Because, yeah, you want to pick it up, be able to squeeze it and see one drop here. You don't want it wetter than that, but if it isn't moist enough, the microorganisms aren't going to like that, and they're not going to be there. Yeah.
If you get it just right, it looks like ash
Oh, yeah.
when you get into it. Looks like it's been burnt.
That's all the
It has, right?
mycelium and,
It has been burned at
Yeah,
175.
yeah.
Those bugs do some amazing work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it's got so many micronutrients that you're not getting in conventional fertilizer. Yeah.
How do you not smash the PVC pipes with your tractor?
We space them.
Go between them?
Yep. Yeah. So we wouldn't have one here. We just keep them next to the edges there. And
Are they
and
bolted down or something?
nope. And they melt occasionally. We've had our compost hot enough.
Oh wow.
No, they're not bolted down. They're just
Lay 'em down?
Are they
Yeah.
not at an angle or anything? It's just to let.
instead of doing forced air like Frank, mine is passive aeration. We could like tight line these and pump air through it, but I'm not a boarding stable. I'm not in a hurry. It's just I can't put it out anyway, so it just sits here all winter.
Did you drive the tractor on those grids?
Yeah.
It kept it.
Oh yeah. Oh well. Plus we have my husband works for American Plywood, so we get a lot of cover boards, the real thin plywood. So we literally lay down. This is grazed down, obviously. We lay down plywood right here. Our stack is over there. I know I'm cuckoo. And that way you're not digging up the ground with the tractor. Yeah. It's all about the grass.
Right in front of my compost setup too, just like a 10-foot strip
Yep.
in front of it,
Yeah.
because as you're digging into the piles when I'm going to move it or turn it, the wheels are always, you know,
Yeah.
skidding out just a little bit.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that eco grade, it would just be a mess.
Yeah, the grids they're so handy. I mean, they use them in Europe all over the place for driveways, parking lots.
Never mind.
They're great for everything, driveways.
You've got some in the back of his car.
Probably.
I would say though, if you ask him nicely, he's got a compactor too.
And a dump truck.
And that compactor makes the
Okay. So you guys chat. I'll show you what I do. I mean, this is pretty easy. One of these days, I'm going to take a pair of old blue jeans. I keep saying I'm going to do this. Sew them up, put a handle on them, and put these things in them. One of these days. But not yet. You know, still have time. So I always put this up because the cows are so nosy. Oh my gosh. So this is all I do. They're over there watching. That's why I didn't do this yesterday, because they would have been all mad if I didn't shut them out. I know. Rick's watching me. Yes, I did name them, but yes, we're going to slaughter them. I will cry, but I will thank them. We've had a good life here for sure. Yeah, well, you know, it's not the... Huh? Oh, this is an electric fencing reel. It's a Gallagher product. So this is my temporary electric, and here's what I do. I'll be right back. Thank you.
This one more, you think?
Yeah. Yep, that'll be my gate. Perfect. Thank you, ma'am. I do mine every 25 feet, which is 10 steps for me. Horses, I would put it at the top one. I had it here, and cows can jump. I knew that already, but they were frisking around the other day after it rained, and Prosser ran to the other end and ran back and jumped right over it. So hopefully he doesn't keep doing that. We'll see. And then I'm going to get my cart because I want to show you or maybe I can carry it over here. I learned about cows 30 years ago in college. I was an animal science major, but I haven't ever had them. And my horses, we fed them the mineral blocks So it was super easy. They would just have their salt in here at night or in the daytime when they were locked in. But the folks I bought the cows from, my cow mentors, they're like, oh, you got to feed loose minerals. And I'm like, well, horses, you can put a pan out and they'll just eat it, but cows, they're going to knock it over. So I'm like, what do I get? And I Google and I find all these things that are like $300 and they're huge. So I find one on Craigslist and it's still huge. It's only $75, but I'm like, I can't drag this thing around every 3 days. It's crazy. It was one of those hooded things, you know, keeps it out of the weather. Yeah, I'm like, that's not happening. So I did some more, okay, do it yourself. So Tom took one of those barrels, cut it off at 10 inches, put a board at the top, and then I got some really thin rubber matting. He bolted that on the top, and basically it's a little rubber lid, and they stick their heads under it, and it's small enough and light enough that I can carry it around. And usually I'll put it in my cart, but I'll probably just carry it over here because it's almost empty. So anywho, I moved that around when I moved the cows around. Okay, here we go. I'll be right back. They might be nervous, you know, strangers.
On the grass.
Come on, boys. Sorry. You waiting, Charles? Come on. Come on.
But really gentle. Yeah. I go up at him, put kids up on him, stuff like that. And the gestures for cows, the older cows, when they have a calf and stuff, I go out and belt them without putting them in the stand.
So popular. The poop cart has become a new thing. So this is all I need to move the cows around now. So here's the magical mineral feeder. So all they do is it's fun to hear them do it because you hear the flop, flop, flop. They just stick their head under there.
Did you have to sort of train them?
The first time, well, I sold the other one on, immediately resold it on Craigslist. Tom, where is he? Took him a week to make this. Because, had to stall around. Well, yeah, that was pretty good.
We got back. 6 months.
Right, so,
You gotta think about it for a
Well, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Find them every 3 months.
so apparently the cows really like minerals because I brought it out here. A, it helped that they're nosy. And B, I just stood here like this, so it worked. This is like right after we got them, worked twofold. A, they're like, this lady's wonderful. And B, you know, got them closer to me. So I basically just held it open and they came over here and started licking, and I'm like, hello. And they love Charlie.
Now they lift it up by themselves.
Yeah, they just stick their head under there and bloop. And they love to scratch on it too, so I'm glad it's covered. Yeah, and he had to put this on there because they scratched on it so much that originally just had one washer and it broke off. Yeah, it like popped it off.
I like the idea of the bar going across because I've seen it where people done the pipe.
Yes,
Up in the middle, but
that was the design we saw. Yes,
yeah, that's what I've seen. But
and our barrel was already kind of warped.
yeah,
So this made it stay open. So he basically put screws on each side. Yeah, because that one I'm thinking water would still
yeah.
make its way in there.
And structurally, I don't think it's really strong.
Yeah, I think this is an
Stop
upgrade.
it from folding over if they
Right.
wanted to sit on it.
Yeah.
Tom didn't sell
We
it.
should put this on YouTube. We could be YouTube stars.
Exactly my same thought. Patent it and sell it.
Right. So this is probably going to last them probably 3 nights. So then the next one will be corner of the paddocks that way, middle section, and then
This section will last about 3 nights for 3.
yeah.
So it's from here to all the way down.
Yep.
Well, Renee, how long does the field rust then?
Okay, let's see. So
Count your paddocks.
yeah, I am. So they were on this section last week while we were gone, and well, this one little area plus that one while we were gone, and then they were across the driveway before that. So that one's already been 3 weeks, and it's like this, and it had been tall and cut down. It's not quite ready to graze, so 4 weeks maybe.
A month.
Yeah, like
So how do we get our front lawn not to grow and our pasture to grow? Yeah.
right, yeah. Get something to overgraze your lawn. Yeah. Yeah, so let's see. They were on this pasture was the first one we got them, and we got them April 6th. So how long? 8 weeks. Yeah, we've grazed it twice. Yeah.
So is that now too low to graze?
This is way too low.
What about for like sheep? Also?
Yeah. I mean, really, you're wanting to start out no shorter than about 9 inches, and then getting down to 3 inches. So bloop.
That's when you switch them, when it's down to 3 inches.
Yeah, and we can walk around and go look at the field where they just were, so you can get an idea. We'll walk in there. I would rather err on the side of leaving too much grass than coming out and going, oh, they overgrazed it, you know, because it really makes a huge difference on the regrowth.
Especially if you did that like year in and year out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just the occasional ooh thing. It really stalls it out, and then it'll start regrowing. Like this, oh my gosh, we were gone. The back part, it's only been a week.
Yeah.
And it's already like, oh my gosh, it'll be ready to graze in another week or so.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, well, and what I do on the far field, we're going to walk around this way so we don't get these guys excited, although they don't look too excited. But you saw Prosser, he's a jumper. See him jump in here? We will walk around this way, and this back 2-acre field, we have hayed it a couple times over the years because it's a big open field. And what we found is we ended up locking our horses in and then feeding them the hay. That's dumb.
Yeah.
So what we ended up doing is we would use that as the standing hay field. That one would always get ahead of us. So in July, August, when everything else starts slowing down, I would still make small areas, and I would do that, cut it down. They would be in each section eating that, you know, really long grass that had been cut for like a week. So that field would last me like 2 months as my standing hay field. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's like hay, but there's still some green underneath. So, you know, they're not going to be gaining 2 pounds a day on that. But if I do that with these guys, I mean, they're gaining so much now that they're not going to lose much. Their date is September 6th. So, and they're already like, they were 940 pounds when we got them. So I'm guessing they're going to be like 1,200. Yeah. April 6th.
So, Renee, kind of what you're saying though is when you mow it and then turn them into it, they eat what's been mowed?
Yes, you can even do that with horses. You can't, so I would like mow it, yeah, sorry. I would mow it like literally they're standing in the paddocks, I'm mowing it, set up the pasture, I let them out. There's no way in heck with horses I would mow it and wait several days, because yeah, it'll start molding. But if they eat it immediately, and well, even with horses, if you mow Canadian thistle, it wilts a little bit, they eat it like candy, like the whole thing.
Same thing with nettle.
Yeah.
Is that also because it's just less work for them? It's like feeding hay, so it's like
Well, yeah, maybe.
to pick off and just,
Well, it's just, they just can't walk around and be picky going,
yeah.
smash, I'm looking for something tiny in here, and smashing it all down.
All the same level and it's all.
Right, it's like, here you go. That's what you got.
They won't nuzzle the dry
They do.
to get to the end.
A little of each, yeah.
Will that ruin your
No.
standing hay, your
No,
grass?
it seemed to, I've experimented a lot, and it seemed to, that's the way to go, is to pre-cut it.
I've seen it where people cut afterwards also to help knock down the weeds.
Oh, yeah. So
After,
well,
if you have
if I do that
desirable-
pre-cutting, then I usually don't have to do an after. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I could be doing smaller sections to make them eat everything, but they're eating most of it, and the cows are a lot more destructive than horses. I mean, my horses would run and kick up clods, but these guys, they'll like pick a spot to lay, and then they'll like roll around in it and like make an area like this big in every field that's muddy. So I'm like, I would rather have that in one spot in here than here, and you know,
Just put a bale of hay out there, they'll lay on it
well, maybe I'll do that.
and waste it.
Yeah, yeah.
Put a big round bale out there. Watch
Yes,
them
here's your mattress, right.
Did you say you cut it? I know that you're talking about the standing hay.
Yeah,
But
not
even in the
this.
rotational
No,
grazing,
no, no, no,
do you
no.
give it a trim? Like,
Nope. Well, after.
No, before.
Nope. So
So if it's really tall,
really tall. Yeah, you missed the beginning.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, see the field over there in the corner? We're going to walk right by there. If it is anything taller than this, then I will pre-cut it.
You will, okay.
So that's super wet. Can't get out there with cows, tractor, nothing right now. So it just has to be like that.
Until you can.
So in another week or two, yeah. So I have that one in the corner over here next to the woods, and then the front one that are just there doing their thing right now. And
Until the tractor.
yeah, but they'll be green and continue to grow all summer. Whereas this, you know, come on, July, 1st of August, it's going to be slow. But the the tall fescue, it's still green. It's just slowly growing. Like your field, when you see those spots out there, that's your tall fescue.
And when you're talking about cows, because this is what we're looking at, and horses a little bit. Same for sheep.
Same for
Okay,
sheep.
All right.
They tend to like the finer grasses, but if you have them in a pasture with, you know, bigger grasses too, you're still wanting to treat it like everything is the tall grass, that you really can't let them get below 3 inches. So if you have pickier animals like horses and sheep, you got to make smaller areas to make them eat everything.
Okay. And they won't just eat the good stuff down to.
They will.
They will.
If you give them too long. So
Okay,
the rule of thumb is, I forgot to mention this, 3 inches or no longer than a week. Because if, you know, that week has rolled around and that stuff's growing already, so say they bite this one on Saturday when I put them out there and they don't eat that one, right? A week goes by, this starts to re-sprout. That's pure sugar. They're going to go right back to that, continue to ignore that one. So drive around, and when you see fields where some of the grass is this tall and some's that tall, it's because they're picking and choosing.
Got it.
Yeah, so
My place.
the smaller you make it, the less picky they can be. Yeah, no longer than a week.
Well, they'll get more competitive too, right?
They will get more competitive with the, oh yeah. And the horses you can't get too small, I've found, because then they start fighting and kicking each other. So it's like a sweet spot in there.
And how long are they free grazing on?
They'll be in here probably 3 days.
Like, I mean, night and day, or
Oh yeah.
hours and hours and hours all day?
All 24/7.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, the horses, you missed the part about, that's okay. I'm reiterating so in case these guys forgot. So the horses, if they're in, I found, longer than about 12 hours, they just start messing around and causing problems. So they're out at night, in during the day, out on a new field, in during the day.
At night?
Because less sugar's in the grass then, and I worked my horses in the evening, so I wanted them walking all night to, you know. Yep.
Renee, the other thing about horses is that if you just throw them out on a pasture that they haven't been on a pasture, they can founder really quick.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, then that's just about a death sentence to a horse.
Yeah.
So,
And
it's perfect.
well, and doing this and making them eat everything, they're not just eating the sugary stuff over and over again. The worst founders I've seen are people that have one giant pasture and they have their horses out and they're eating what they want. You have less incidence of founder if they're in an intensive grazing system. Doesn't matter whether it's a thoroughbred, quarter horse, whatever. But yeah, but in the spring I would slowly build them up. So they're, you know.
And you don't worry about predation because you've got electric fence. I mean,
Well, I don't think a cougar's going to take these guys down.
well, I got sheep though.
Oh, sheep, yes.
I mean, in the daytime. I mean, that's why I.
Oh, yeah, you definitely, if you're going to have sheep out at night, you need like 6 strands, guard dog, all that sort of stuff.
So just do it during the day.
Yeah. Yep.
Same thing as those.
Okay. You guys ready? I'll just park this. I got to water them here in a little while. Oh, I can turn the water on now while we're wandering around.
Those good looking cows.
Yeah, 1.5 of them are still for sale. If anybody wants to
And cut and wrap,
cut and wrap,
I'll have to,
Mountain View Meats.
I'm gonna have to butcher one.
No conflict of interest. Please don't put this in the video. Doesn't quite reach. Well, I'll do it later. Okay. Oh yeah, the names are funny.
Parcels are approximately like a quarter acre.
Oh, let's see. So this field is 0.9 acres.
Oh, okay.
So divided, so 0.3 each one of them.
Okay.
That one's 0.8 acres, and I divide that one into 3, so a little less than that.
Okay. So quarter to a third acre each.
Mm-hmm.
How many parcels would you say that you have that
Total?
in your rotation?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
Oh shoot, Dan.
13, 14, 15,
Oh, wow.
16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 24, I think, 22.
Oh man,
Okay, that's a good setup.
that's wild.
Yeah, and I have, I don't know, like 40 of those posts and 4 reels, a couple of mini reels.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're an overachiever.
No, I mean, I don't want to waste any grass. I don't want to be. I'm doing this to make money now. And before I was doing this to spend less on hay. So, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm not going to make that much money on 3 cows, but hey, I'm going to be spending it on diesel. Okay, come on through here. This is not hot so it doesn't, you know, keep unrolling. And then not, you know, do the posts and then
Can you hook that on with the fence hot?
you could.
I've watched videos.
Yeah. So this thing is insulated, but I have a couple that are cracked.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
What do you do with the rest of the spool? Let's say that's as long as you needed it.
I got knocked over by our fence, so I don't trust, like Tom said it was off and it wasn't, and I crawled out. I don't trust anybody. I trust, yeah.
Once or twice.
Yeah. It's super hot. So to answer your question, the one over there, it's got this hook. So anyway, when I'm done, you know, I was going to show you over here. You might not need that much education, but I left a couple of feet of it over there. So basically, I do the opposite. So I go down to the end of the fence. Well, as I'm walking that way, I unhook it from all the posts, right? And I get down there, and then basically you can have it either direction, and then you just, it's yep. Some of them are geared. I didn't pay for that one. And then once you hook it on here, yes, it's hot. This isn't hot, but this is hot. So to make the wire hot, I'll usually do this. Because if you just hook it on here, well, it's going to be like this, right? I will run it back over the top, and then it's hot from this end. Or if I hook it on the fence this way, it's hot. Does that make sense? Normally I like to do it this way because then when it's live, I don't like getting shocked. Yeah, I don't like completing the circuit, right? Correct. Okay, Charles, here we go.
I think we've all touched the hot
Yeah.
time or two.
But if not, we can demonstrate.
And so this reminded me of it. I haven't dragged this one yet. I mowed it last night. Okay, so if you don't know about fly parasites, they're the best thing in the world. What they do, I've spread these out a couple days ago. They're these, where's a pupae?
Using the Spalding?
Yeah. Anywho, they're nocturnal gnat-sized wasps. They're like as big as like an eye on your, you know, you're typing out eye. And what they do is you sprinkle the pupae once a month on a couple piles, right? They hatch out, and then they search around, find fly larvae or pupae, lay their egg in the pupae, and their larvae eat the pupae of the fly. So
Once
they
hatch, they eat the inside out.
Yep. So they eat them before they ever hatch out. So do anybody have a fly on you? I mean, the cows maybe had 2 flies on them. I go to a lot of farms, people that don't use these, 10, 20 flies per animal. These things are amazing.
What are they called again?
Fly predators, fly parasites.
Oh, the ones that you put in the water troughs?
No, they're not in the water troughs. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can put them around water troughs.
There's some capsule thing that you put in.
Oh, that's for, I use those too. Those are for mosquitoes.
Oh, gotcha.
And I have goldfish in my trough over there.
Oh, the same ones I used to
Yeah, they eat all the, yeah, they lived all winter. They're a couple years old. Yeah, they'll just hang out, going to,
the beaters will get.
I don't know. They definitely eat the fly larvae. I don't like dumping troughs all the time. That's wasteful. And these things eat the algae and the the mosquito larvae. It's definitely.
They can freeze and they'll live.
They just hang out on the bottom of the trough all winter. I didn't have a heater in there all winter since I didn't have any animals here. So yeah.
Usually as long as it doesn't completely freeze.
Yeah, they're cool. So I just put these out a couple days ago, so they're hatching out doing their thing. So this, like I said, was 3 fields. It was from the gate, the left post, this long narrow strip, and then this was 2 up at the top.
So you mowed this and then put the cows on it?
No, I mowed it after.
After, okay.
I got, I tried to just cut the tops off. So I don't even mow it down to 3 inches.
Okay.
Yeah. This is pretty tall still. But my daughter was cow sitting, so she wasn't quite sure, and she erred on the side of not overgrazing, so that's what I told her to do. So this is fabulous.
Okay.
It's fine with me. So we can go over here and I'll show you what they've been eating the last 3 days. You order them online and then they'll send you a package each month. Fly parasites.
Fly parasites. Is it like a certain brand of
There's a bunch of brands like Spalding. I can't remember the name of the.
And it should reduce then the fly, any kind of fly.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it even works. I'm pretty darn sure my neighbors over here don't use fly parasites, and
It works for them too.
yeah, or it keeps them from
That's not a bad
all coming over here.
Start telling our neighbors.
Charlie! Charles! Come on! Charlie!
Start giving our neighbors fly parasites.
Yes, yeah, you let them hatch. Like, I've gotten them before. You hold them up, see if you see any, and I've gotten them and there's like none hatched, so I'll just wait a couple days. I'll keep them in the house. When you go on vacation, the mailman really doesn't like it when you have your mail held, because they really stink once they start. Once they really start hatching at the post office. A couple of them will get out. Yeah. Yeah, even smaller than fleas, I think. They're tiny. So here's what it looks like. You can see little patches where they probably pooped last time. Ooh, there's a thistle I got to get. It's a little long here, but this is pretty good. Maybe they could go until tomorrow morning. If you guys weren't coming tonight, I might have waited until tomorrow morning, but definitely I wouldn't have done it another 24 hours. So this was, I put him out here, let's see,
It's Friday.
yeah, Monday. Wait, yeah. No, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. No, they were out 3 full nights, so Monday night, whatever. 3 days. So you're confusing me. So
The days kind of run into
yeah, they do. Yep. So before I'll make a pass through here, check everything out, and get out here with the mower. We have a big brush mower, and then I got a finishing mower that rides under the deck. And that one it gets it definitely at 3 inches, which is even shorter than I really like. I like to leave my stubble a little bit longer, but it's great for a field like this where there's so many humps and bumps because, oh my gosh, talking about your neck, Frank, driving the brush hog and doing this the whole time, yeah, my spine doesn't turn as well as it used to, so definitely.
You need like a camera behind your head.
But I mean, you're constant, and then I'm still like scraping down the hills, and yeah, you know.
I put mirrors on the tractor.
I end up scraping some hills down, and so I'll use the finishing mower in here because it'll really travel over the hills. You'll see it on the mower when we go over there. Okay. So let's see, weeds, height 6 inches, 3 inches, no longer than a week. Anything else? Feeding it is good, you know. With the compost, I have limed it. Every couple of years I'll put on commercial nitrogen just to really give the grass a boost, but not every year. It's, you know.
How many electric chargers do you have already?
The reels or?
No, the Energizer.
Oh, I have one giant one on the pump house, right? So then the cable comes under the ground and it hooks up on the perimeter fence by the driveway. So it's doing the whole thing. And then I have a little battery operated one that is great for, you know, we've like farmed our horses out to friends before and set up a little temporary. It runs on a car battery, or not a car, like a riding mower, yeah, a little battery, or like 9 of the D-cell batteries. So that one works really well too.
The ones we got only use 4 batteries.
Whoa,
4
nice.
of the car battery.
Yeah, we've used that. I don't know if we've ever even used it on our property, just
I got like
on
5
friends.
of them, just
Yeah.
for horses because they break.
Yeah. Those are super
Different
handy.
areas.
Yeah, and we have a fence tester. Those are handy, you know, to find what's going on if there's an issue.
Fence testers don't work real good in the dark, or in the daylight. So I got one that you hold on to and it gives you a voltage.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's cool.
they work really good.
Mm-hmm.
No, it doesn't bother you.
So this is our former hay field. It never is as productive as the other ones because like a herd of 30 elk likes to hang out here, and they don't follow my grazing rules, and they graze it right down to the ground all winter. They're like coming back. So it just isn't ever as productive as the other fields.
You're feeding the elk.
Yeah, because none of my neighbors have grass around me. It's like, can you guys grow some grass, please? Feed the elk too.
That makes pretty good also.
They jump 7-foot fences.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I had the Fish and Wildlife guy, and he's like, oh, you just need to make your fences 6-7 feet tall. And I'm like, that just seems kind of unlikely to
do that and then
happen.
they just go through it.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, the dogs like to poop too. Psst.
You had them go in the same pen as your cows. One of my friends, the elk in her area, will go in the same pen as the cows, and the bull is just like thoroughly offended.
Oh yeah, we've had with our horses in this field especially, we've had the horses grazing, and I'll come out and there's an elk like from them to the tree over there. The, yeah, the horses were the best game spotters though. Anything out here and they'd be looking, and you always just look where they are. It's like, yeah, these guys are stranger danger. I'm surprised they weren't more wiggy with all of you here. All right. Yeah, I'm pretty happy.
We're going to the next pasture.
Right. Okay, so if you don't have any more grazing questions, we can go over and learn how to use our small drill. And if you're not interested in that, you can just grab your literature and try to figure out how to get out of our driveway. Okay.
Pick up weeds on your way out. No.
Yeah, pull some weeds. I'll give you my gloves if you find any more thistles.
Yes, yeah.
In the front.
Tom's going to do the training, so come on over if you're... Oh, yes. I'm tired of talking.
Wait a minute. We're not doing it.
Whoa.
I don't know what to do with the microphone.
Okay. What do I do with my hands?
So the book says, and then what I say is 2 different things. So the book says is that this front, the top the drawbar is in this hole. And our ground is a lot of up and down, and if you do that, when you hit the ups and downs, the way the seed comes out is this guy here. When it hits the ground, it turns a chain, and it makes everything activate. So if you hit the high spots and the low spots, if that's not hitting the ground, then you're not planting seed. So that's why I like it on the float. And then what I do is if you have it on this bar and on the fixed location, then you want the drill to run pretty flat. And when it's on this setting, then you determine how flat your drill is by changing how aggressive you are on these discs. And right now, I'm on just slightly more. If you have it right in the center.
Now come on in if you want to look. I'll move all this.
So this is when it's centered, and this is the disc isn't really cutting in. And if it's really, really wet, you might even turn your disc backwards.
Before you load it on the nice little trailer we have, please make it sure it's in neutral, because you can see people are not doing that. It's already chewing up the platform. It's on the instructions, but
So we played with this last night, and we know that we.
Here's the instructions. Oh, sorry, Tom. Over there on the table, if anybody wants to follow along.
You definitely should read those, but I didn't. I read them last time. So we played with this a little bit last night, and I know that just the slight the slight angle on this is giving us the depth that we want. And then when we fill, so there's a seed chart here, and we're planning on doing what, fescue?
Yeah, well, we're doing a mix, but you can go off fescue.
So we want to do about 30 pounds to an acre, and then if you look at here, this is a 5/8 inch. So come on in and look at how I'm setting this. So this is totally closed down. So that's when it's totally closed down. So when I do a 5/8 of an inch, I want this gear to show 5/8 of an inch. Can you get that on the camera? So I'm a little bit less than that, but it's close enough. So once you set this at 5/8 of an inch, then you can check your calibration. So your calibration is, so you take this pin here, whenever you want it to plant, you drop the pin in here. To calibrate it, we take this out of gear, and then we pull. This guy is usually stored here. You put it in this little slot here, and this is catching the seed from 2 cups. And then once you get of course you want to weigh this first before you weigh your grain or your seed. And then put the cup in, crank this 4 rotations, and then weigh it again in pounds. All this is in the sheet. But once you know the pounds in your calibration cup, then you multiply it by 350 something.
It's on the sheet, yeah.
And
on that sticker.
it gives you how many pounds an acre of seed you're planting. So
it's kind of a double check. Calibrating is double checking that chart is right, because sometimes this thing can get out of calibration.
So those green things are dropping the seeds right where the blade cut, basically.
It does, but when you look at it on the ground, it's more of a broadcast.
Right.
So the other drill puts it exactly right. I mean, drops it right in the furrow. This one is more of a broadcast.
So it's like half an hour.
But it still does. I mean, you could see when we planted last fall, you could see stripes. So it's still going. I mean, it's not a perfect use of your seed, but it's not bad. And again, if your tractor's smaller, it works great. The other one requires a fairly large tractor, and then it requires hydraulics, and unless you're a seasoned farmer, it's a little challenging to use the other drill. So, any questions about calibrating the seed? So then once you have it calibrated, am I missing anything, Renee?
Nope. You put all the stuff back on there. And don't over tighten things. Everybody keeps over tightening, and oh my God, we had to get a lot of tools out.
Oh no.
Although Frank used this the very first time we had it, and it almost shook all the bolts loose, right? So some of them had to get tightened, but not these, not this one.
I didn't tighten but one or two.
Okay, so are cups in the right position? Yep. I guess we're not really seeing, so. And you gotta fix the pin?
Yep. I don't think it holds that much.
We
had about a 50-pound sack, one of the huge ones, and I don't think it quite held it all.
It'll do, so this is the seed box, and then this is the clover box. So if you're planting, two different things. So what it does is the seed drops out of the tubes right here, right? And then the clover drops on this pan and then falls in. So basically it's kind of, it's planting the seed in the furrow, and then it's basically broadcasting the clover and then running over it with the press reel. This one's great too. I mean, basically the disc will just run over it. It'll drop the seed right on the rock.
Need an annual version. I use the manual version. The one that you go.
Okay, and this was a long time for 8th grade. This is a setting for the small.
Same, conceptually the same thing, and then the calibration is similar. Here's the crank, and then it's a different number of turns, but it's if you can do one, you can do the other one.
Well, we learned, we did a demo of this last July, and the ground was rock hard, and this thing is not going to cut into that. So if you do it in the spring, it's obviously easy to get in. You only want it to cut in like ½ an inch. So then in the fall, which is actually generally the better time to seed, with this guy, you gotta wait until we get like an inch of rain. It's kind of like after the September rains start kind of deal.
If you got shallow, large rocks, will it damage the equipment?
Nah, it just rides over it.
That's when you'll see the whole drill will come up, and then the spike thing will quit turning.
When it quits turning, it quits spitting out seed.
Yeah, because
so you may have some skips.
All through our property, we've got like
the big
surface level boulders that are like.
Yeah, I got a few of those.
I think it'll just, unless your tractor has a lot more down, push more than this one, what it does, it will ride over a rock.
So how low does the grass have to be before you can see?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back up and I'm going to show you what it looks like.
Okay.
Yeah.
and then it rolls over it. So the,
Come here, Charlie.
you really, most of these seeds, you know, the fescue and all that, 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch. You just barely want it under the ground surface. If you plant it too deep, it's just not going to sprout. So you just barely want it covered. So you can see this one is cut in the slit, right? It's dropping the seed in there, which you have to use your imagination because I don't want to clean this thing before I have to turn it back in. And then it'll put it right under there and then press that right over it. So obviously it's hard to do this in really tall grass, but our other bigger drill has the real, these are yours I think, coulter kind of discs. And the idea with those is it can cut down cover crops, and it will really slice through any vegetation, plant your seed. Cover it over.
Take this down.
So this one not so much, but the bigger drill definitely will cut through anything. So you could do it in taller grass, shorter grass. But this guy, you know, you got to do it when the grass is, and I feel that doing it in the fall is really great because the rest of the grass is like, oh my God, I'm done for the year. You know, it's brown. It's not doing anything. It's kind of knocked back. So if you can get your seed in there, you know, right when we're first starting to get that grass, it kind of gets a jump before all the other grass wakes back up. So it can really get going and not be out-competed by your existing grass. It's incredible, you know. I've spread so much seed over the year by just dragging, broadcasting, dragging, you know, and then you see all the juncos eating it all. It's like, oh. This thing, I see stripes, you know, pretty.
And it's buried enough that the birds aren't just eating it.
Right. That's the beauty of
I want
it.
to mention one more thing on the,
Okay.
on the disc, so if you'll come around. So on the disc, what I want to see is, as these are digging in, you still see a little bit of space here. And last night when we had an aggressive, we were deeper than that.
Okay.
And that's too deep. And you can look also, I mean, you don't have to do a level, you can just eyeball it, but this looks a little bit front forward right now, so we might even want to go a little less aggressive. And it's going to depend also on, this is a real high traffic area, so it's really compacted. So it's probably set up pretty decent here, and then when we get in other parts of our pasture that are less compacted, and the grass may, you know, if the grass is a little shorter, you may have to adjust it. So just keep an eye on it, and don't just set it and forget it. Check it and look at it every now and then and see if it's behaving like you think it should.
Ooh, and to segue from there, we this is a high traffic area because we would store 20 tons of hay upstairs every year. We drive our hay trailer back up to the back of the garage and elevator it up top. So what we're going to plant, I've tried even this thing, I've planted seed and it's just too compacted. So this fall I'm going to plant fracking radish, which is a large rooted radish that is used to break up the soil and aerate it without, you know, bringing in an aerator. So next spring I'm going to have a workshop to show everyone, oh, this is what fracking radish looks like, and blah blah. Fracking
Sounds
radish.
like you're swearing.
Yeah. That fracking radish.
So you make the ass out of it.
Yeah, there's all sorts of radishes and turnips that have been developed to provide food and, you know, livestock forage, but they also are great for penetrating compacted soil and making more spaces for grasses to then come back in.
Do they move boulders out of the way?
What?
Comfrey?
Oh yeah,
Let's
yeah.
get about that.
Oh yeah, I know you love
Trouble
comfrey.
is, you'd never get rid of it.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna plant, now that I have cows, I'm gonna plant all sort of wacky stuff like chicory and.
Yeah, the comfrey gets 90 tons per acre
Wow.
of wet matter. Yeah,
Wow.
so that's pretty good.
Yeah, these guys need a little more dry matter. They're pretty.
Yeah. I dragged and then with a chain drag, and then I broadcast this year. But I think if I do it again with it, when next time I do it, I'll use maybe the bigger one or this one again. Because I really like the results of this.
Oh yeah, yeah. This
Especially
is
being able to put two different seeds out at the same time.
yes. Yeah, it's a total game changer. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how many thousands of pounds of seed I've fed to the birds over the years.
Yeah.
This is just.
Well, my guinea hens were eating the
Oh,
oats that
yeah.
I planted.
differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can set the application rate.
So all the tillage of the soil is all going to be the same.
Right, but since this is dropping it out after you have already rolled over a little bit, it's more on the surface.
But you don't like, I mean, it's 30 pounds. Clover, you don't do that.
Oh, no. Yeah. Clover, you do like 4 pounds an acre. And then our other drill, it has tubes for both. So you are setting those, you can set them at different heights.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is the other one wider?
It's 6 feet wide, yeah.
Now, that other one you mentioned, hydraulics, that can't be skid steer mounted, can it? Is it all three-point hitch?
It's a 3-point hitch, and we have adapters for, and we have longer hydraulics because some people don't have the rear hydraulics. We have an extra set that comes with it. That, yeah,
Maybe something like that.
maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. We keep it at Jennings down in Puyallup, so you can go take a
Go
look.
scope it out, yeah.
Right.
That was really nice. It really works great.
And you can haul it on the road, so you can either have it delivered to you, or if
I'm
you,
kind of set up for.
yeah, if you either take a trailer or bring a friend. If you haul it behind you, we require you to have a friend go behind you so no one runs
I'm
into
in
it.
Lake Bay, so
Oh,
it might
yeah.
take us a while to get there.
Exactly.
Yeah, the bridge, you know.
Right,
yeah,
right,
the
yeah.
toll.
And then probably doesn't need to be said, but just you have to raise it when you turn.
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
turn I mean, very slight, but it's.
Yeah, and
You wanna
don't
raise
back up because it'll
Not gonna like it.
jam up everything, especially our other
This
drill
one-
that has the coulters. It'll clog up those coulters with dirt if you back up. So then
just
you
make a
will
nice
not
mess.
forget.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one won't clog anything up, but you shouldn't back it up.
Yeah. All right. Any more drill questions? See?
No, it's cool. We got to see this.
Okay.
I always thought it was just gonna with our soil was just
wouldn't work.
broadcasting,
No,
and I'm just
no,
like,
yeah.
oh, that's like double the amount of money plus.
Yeah, when
plus,
you're
plus the chances of, yeah. Just
well, this
throwing-
thing gets both of them get pretty booked up, so you got to get on our
Yeah.
calendar. So contact Allie at our office,
Okay.
Allie Nichols.
Okay.
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 Yeah, Noah sent us one.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have
All
to
right.
live in Pierce County to use this and get on this?
No, we give Pierce County people priority, but you can be in other counties, and a lot of conservation districts now are buying drills, so Thurston might have their own now. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you all for coming. Nice to meet you.